Incremental readings. So you may be now used to use incremental reading and SuperMemo, but then it's, hey, what is the best time of the day to use SuperMemo? So let's see that. So why timing matters? Memory performance. You know that your brain alertness changes through the day, affecting how you can learn. You start very alert, and as the hours pass by, it diminishes. Then there are some people who are nappers, like I am, then you have a second chance during the day. But if you don't, you just sleep at night. You are what's called monophasic sleeping pattern. Then you stop and you start there, and it becomes worse and worse. So if you do SuperMemo at night, it won't be the same experience. Then consistent habits. Choosing the right times ensures to stay on a schedule, boosting both consistency and effectiveness. So quote, you can pick the right moment. Its repetition resonates more strongly. Keep in mind that we are live in society, and I can have a family that hey yeah, that I will choose 10 a.m. But yeah, I'm working at that moment, or I have to pick up my kids on the school or whatever. I'm making this up. That's not my case. So if you have a work that allows you some flexibility in the schedule, that will be better. Then, morning advantage. Post-waking freshness. After a good night's sleep, assuming that's your case, you don't have any issue, your brain is at cognitive high. Memories consolidate overnight. So you have the peak. Then, lower interference. Fewer distractions or mental clutter if you study before tackling today's tasks. That I start the day pursuing my land drive. What is in my head? The curiosity I have now. And later, perhaps 1 hour later or two, depends. Then okay, what I need to do today? The course, the job, the deadlines, pa pa pam. Then strong recall. Newly awakened synapses, the connections in the neurons, can handle challenging items with better mental clarity. So long story short, the hard stuff, do it first. The more complex stuff. And what's easier, leave it later, when you're more fatigued after many hours on the day. So take away. Morning reviews let you ride the wave of reset mind. Great for deeper recall and initial daily momentum. I know people who treat this as a religion, literally as a religion, which is it's going extra mile. It's excessive, at least for me. No. The first thing I will do in my daily routine is SuperMemo until I don't finish. I don't do anything else. That is religious level. That's not healthy. To get my point. So let's say I have 1 hour, then whatever I can do in that hour, then it's time to work. I'll need to go to work, even if I didn't finish. Then, as I mentioned, there's a second peak during the nap. In case you nap. A short sleep refresh your mind, similar to overnight mini consolidation of memories. So it's not as the same as a full night's sleep, but almost. It's very close, more than you may think, without going into the details. Then afternoon even boost. Post nap. Many people experience a secondary cognitive peak, like I do, countering the typical midnight slump. That depends if you live in a country that you have a 9 to 5 job. You cannot break it. You cannot nap. So, the best you can do is to find some kind of work that allows you more flexibility. The best thing would be to be self-employed. Because if you are self-employed, you do your own rules, basically. An incremental benefit. Splitting daily reviews between morning and post-nap sessions adds more space intervals for the same items. So instead of one single long session, I do 2 sessions that are shorter across the day. Quote, a brief dose can sharpen your wits. Ideal for a second SuperMemo push later in the day. Also, could be, for whatever reason, I have a deadline. I skip the morning, I just do the second after the nap, and it's still valid because I'm fresh. But it's only true if you're a napper and you don't have, I don't know, sleep apnea or one of those conditions that even if you nap, you're not restored and stuff like that. So always when I say this is assuming healthy individuals. Then timing variation by individuals. You know the different chronotypes. That, hey, morning larks versus night owls. And should I say that at least my observation is that people who use SuperMemo or incremental reading, or at least the people who communicate this to the community, they tend to be night owls. I don't know if it's a consequence of the filter of SuperMemo with personality traits, all of this, that then creates a bias. I don't know, that may be the case. That's why, for instance, when I do tutoring sessions with people in the same time zone, in European time, it's very unlikely it's in the morning. There are some people who prefer morning, but usually it's not the case. So it's a minority. So whatever you do, if you are sharper in the evening, do it in the evening. Because you prefer the quietness, that it's dark night, everyone is sleeping, you're alone. You perform best with this, go with it. Then flexibility. The principle remains, the target of a fresh window, a nap of a rest period, best for results. Sometimes it's not even that I sleep. I do, let's say, Netflix or I edit videos. And then for a while, or if the video is long, just some fragments of the videos, and then I go back and I continue my session. And self-observation. Track your personal alert peaks. If you use Plan, you will be able, or you log your sleep in SuperMemo, you will be able to see that. That, hey, what's my retention rate? And after a while, after you accumulate weeks worth of data, you could see the patterns. And then take action. So if you perform best on mornings, try to do it on mornings. Take it away. General rules apply, but always calibrate to your own circadian rhythm and daily schedule. So even if the theory says that on the evening is not the best case, not the best moment to do incremental reading, if it works for you, do it. Then, avoiding low energy slots. The food coma, exactly, that's what I do. So after eating, especially because now more recently, I only have one meal a day, or two at most. So I fast for the very least 18 hours, up to 36, so a day and a half. It's crazy, so I'm super lucid. But once I eat, well, after I have eaten, it's the food coma that, until I don't do the nap, this time is the worst to use SuperMemo. In the sense that my cognitive performance will be the worst. The post-lunch dip. Then, late night fatigue. If you're drained, like, for instance, it's all day, I have recorded some videos, then I work full time, I did a lot of stuff that I do, like answer emails, respond to Reddit, I went to the gym, all of this, I walked the dog, and oh my god, it's almost midnight. It's okay, I haven't had the time to use SuperMemo until now, but yeah, I'm super fatigued already. Not just cognitively, but physically as well. It will be best to skip the reviews. Or you know what? In this case, let me just read. Do passive reviews. I'm not going to do active recall because I'm way too tired. Then, consequences of the low energy slots. Lower recall rate, frustration, negative associations with loading tasks. Sometimes it's better to skip it. I know I will have a worse performance, and this will lead to more cards, and this will create more workload for tomorrow and the next days. So sometimes the best decision is to do nothing. Skip it. Or just do incremental video instead. That is more passive. Or reading, if you really enjoy it, and it's easy enough, feel free to use the reading as well. So tip. Protect your best learning times by scheduling important reviews away from the energy threats. I'm learning something that is very challenging. Don't do it on those moments. So guarantee that, hey, it will be, I'm not making this up. On Fridays, it's usually hell because of deadlines and all of that. Don't do it on Friday. Do it on a Saturday or in a Monday. And you know what I mean. Then here are some examples. You do morning without afternoon. So you do the morning sessions, half an hour, 1 hour, something like that. And you start with the highest priority items because you start with your sorting criteria. Eventually you nap, and then you have a second session. And you review missed items, you can do final drill, and all of that. Examples, you don't need to do final drill, but hey, I have skipped some items. Let me do now those items. Or if I'm lapsed, let me do a subset of the lapsed and have an opportunity now to reformulate them and so on, because now I'm lucid again. I'm on my best time of the day to do what's cognitively taxing, like reviewing, like reformulating, especially reformulating the items that already failed. That is, if I failed, it's because something is wrong. Then, the benefits of a spaced repetition. Multiple daily intervals. Keep in mind, in SuperMemo, you don't have that, like in Inanki, that, hey, I can have a repetition the morning, and the next, and it's scheduled in an hour, so I will see it again on my second session. That doesn't exist in SuperMemo. It's basically cramming. You don't need that. So you have principles in line with spacing principles that always increase. You have re-encountering material at new times of high energy. So for instance, if you want to go through the outstanding material and you start, it's very likely you will encounter glitches. So do this when you are high energy. Then faster loading. Each brief session might reinforce items in a fresh state. Actually mastery. Here I'm biased flag, but I truly believe that this is even better. 2 sessions, assuming you're a napper. You need to be a napper for that. It's better than 1. So incrementalism always win. And my anecdotal evidence, because I have always been a napper with SuperMemo, is always like this. I perform better with shorter sessions, but 2 sessions after waking up and after waking up from the nap. It just happened that I have been a napper almost all my life. Some years I didn't because I was forced by the academia. By time, the schedule, they didn't allow me to be a napper. Like if you have a 9 to 5 job. Then sustainable habit. Splitting reviews lowers monotony and suits life's demand better than a single marathon. Yeah. And sometimes you have different feeling. So what I did in the morning and the session of the post-nap, it feels like a different day sometimes, even though I just kept doing the same thing. Or perhaps I do a subset. Or, I have a concept group that is very challenging. Let me do preemptively a subset of what's outstanding, and then let me go through the outstanding without filtering out. Then, takeaway. Frequent micro sessions at peak times can outperform long block at the suboptimal hour. Exactly. So in other words, more plain English, if you take just very small sessions more incrementally across the day, this can outperform 1 block, even if you do it in a suboptimal hour. So it's not the best timing. Because of the incrementalism, you still win. Then let me show you some stats. That's a backup. I'm not sure if I have the file here. Let me go to the past. So that's one example that you do very long sessions uninterrupted. And do you see here that there are more interruptions? And look at this. A lot of sessions. So you can tell when I'm sleeping, right? Between 1 or 2 a.m. to about 8 or 9. And nap is not that obvious because I don't nap at the same time every day. So if you have this, that is very scattered all over the place across the day, this will still be better than a day like this, that you do it at 1 p.m. that I'm already dozing off because it's close to my nap time. So a day like this, like, I don't know, April 21st, it's better than the May 2nd, for instance. You get what I mean? Or May 13th. It's just one single session of 1 hour and a half. And if you have a lot of time, like I did when I was in vacation, or like this, you know that there's more red, so I invested more time. Do you see that I have then both? So I have my sessions who are long, more than an hour straight, but then I also make incrementalism across the day. Nice. Then caveats and personalization. Inconsistent scheduled. If you're a shift worker, then you're screwed. Like my girlfriend, that, hey, you have, then, oh no, for this week you work on the mornings, the morning shift. And then next week you work the evening shift. But can you do it once a month, this change? Why is every other week? It's messing around with employees' internal clocks. So then this is messes with you. Okay, then what I can do is adjust to the degree I have. So if I have to work the shift of the morning, I will do SuperMemo. No, I'm making this up. 2 p.m. 4 p.m. And if I have the night shift, I will do SuperMemo at 1 p.m., let's say, earlier in the day. So perhaps you cannot even do the nap, all of this. You'll need to adjust. So I'm not going to tell you the extreme, like perhaps we will say Piotr Wozniak, that quit your job. You will have a job that you make your own schedule. Yeah, that will be nice. I am not at that level either. So I work remotely. I have some hard-coded times that I have meetings, and then the tutoring. But what can I do with the tutoring is that I have my availability. So if I want to guarantee that hour it's off, I just don't allow it to be booked at that time. As easy as that. So even though I have some schedule that is fixed, I cannot change the time, at least it's just a portion of my time. So the other time is I can work at any time on the day I want to. I have, I don't know, more or less, to simplify, Pareto principle. 80% of my schedule is flexible, more or less. Now, before when I focused on tutoring, it was 50-50. I'm putting my example, my own example, but yeah, if you do, your job is shit, adjust to whatever you can. Then, overthinking. Don't obsessively wait for the perfect window. A good analogy is, let's say that you are bodybuilding. And I have to take this, or just building muscle. I have to take this protein shake 20 minutes in the perfect window, or in whatever moment you need to. I'm early. Oh, let me wait 10 minutes. It's still not the perfect window. No, it's that's not healthy. Don't overthink it. If now you have time and you want to, go ahead and do it. Just use the principles that, hey, if you are aware it's the optimal time or close to the optimal time, do what's more taxing. And if you are aware that it's close to the worst time, do more passive stuff. As easy as that. And then the lifestyle fit that adjust to whatever you can do. That perhaps is not work, that you have to take care of your children and stuff like that. Yep. Then it is what it is, and you won't start your SuperMemo session until 6 p.m., perhaps. Well, it's a reality, but at least during the days you are able to, you choose what is optimal in that restriction. So it will always be suboptimal, but optimal within the restrictions. Then, tip, aim for the best practices, but don't let them paralyze you, and consistent routine is better than none. So even if it's very so-so, or I do SuperMemo very late when I am tired, at least this is better than nothing. That, hey, I will skip SuperMemo for a week. That's the message. So conclusion. Best times is when you were freshly rested, and if you're a napper, you have a second opportunity after the nap. The rationale is to maximize recall. You want the best performance, but we are human. We don't have the best performance across the day. And the final thought is to identify your personal peaks and incorporate a small nap if possible. If don't, then just watch your SuperMemo sessions flourish. I work best at this time. Boom. Do it at this time. Easy. So that has been more or less the best time of the day you can use SuperMemo. That's all for now. See you incrementally.